I could have been any business person. It doesn't make me any different for the fact that I'm in the creative industry and people recognize me easy when I am in the street or whatever. That doesn't make me any different. I have to pay my tax. I have to pay my VAT. I have to, make sure that the returns are done. I have to make sure that CIPC is properly done as well. Life is never what you wish it to be.
Yeah.
You make life to be the way you want it by accepting your vulnerabilities, accepting where you don't know, and accepting the situation at hand. So I was then given this platform and I thought, how am I going to benefit from this and benefit those that give me the platform? The work that we had to do on our own from machine learning, how did artificial intelligence come about, and just understanding everything. It was, for me, the best thing that we could have done.
Umam Yvonne Chaka Chaka is a pioneer, a legend, a musical icon, fondly known as the Princess of Africa. She needs no introduction. She's also quite the entrepreneur, right? Which is a side of her that a lot of people don't know about. You have no idea how many businesses this woman has built. And today she is sharing some of that wisdom and that knowledge with us, and you get to hear all about it. Mom Yvonne, welcome and thank you so much for joining us. So excited to have you here.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, I want to take it back, from like childhood. You grew up in Soweto in the 70s and 80s. I'm also a Soweto girl. I was born in the 80s though. So you were raised by your single mom. After your dad, sadly passed away. So you grew up there with your two sisters. And I just wanted to find out just the impact that your mom had on your work ethic.
Well, Mel, I think let's fast forward. It was 12, 11 short years with my dad. But I remember I've always been daddy's girl. As much as mom really brought us up in a very strict way, at 59, I look back and I think she was there to guard us, to protect us, and to cushion us. At that age, you don't understand. You think your mother is too strict. She wants you to be cleaning this. Everything must be meticulous. And you live in this 4-roomed house, but everything must be neat, meticulous, up to the T. And you ask yourself, why? Why bother? But today I look back and I think I'm this kind of a woman that I am because of her and her teachings.
So when you were growing up in Soweto, were there role models in your community or people that you were in contact with that gave you sort of like your first ideas of what does it look like to be successful? What does it mean to be a businesswoman? Was that something that was even available to you?
Mel, I wouldn't say yes, because really you grew up at home knowing that there's not sufficient food. But your mom is going to be able to say to you, take giyagota. Take it to the neighbors, let them give you tomatoes. Go across the road, go Spexy and ask for sugar. Maybe mom will give you a box of milk and say, go and... So we butter.
So you buttered.
Absolutely. That's how we grew up. And there was nothing untoward,
Yes.
We thought that was the norm.
Yes, it was a way of life.
It was a way of life, and that's the way of living. And at the end of the day, we went to bed with food. Because you got kasis mantlela, itamati, kasis pexi, anyanisi, opposite amafuta, wholesome. Those were amafuta besibenzisa ngaleso sikhathi. And it was just normal. But you would go to the shops and you'd really admire these young girls and these young boys over the counter selling to you. Moye wasodli, khona shop not far from us, hasodli, ema center. Those were the shops.
Yes.
Kota tumafu and kwamashaba, and you thought, this is like okay, and that gave you the sense of saying it can be done. Other people are doing it, but you look at yourself and you think, yeah, I'm far, from this. But you kept on saying to yourself, it will happen. I remember as a young girl, every month Dad would buy 3 bags of oranges for the 3 girls, for Doreen, Refilwe, and myself. And these 2 will eat their oranges. Me, I'll stand by the corner at bus stop and sell. I used to sell. And by the whole week, I have sufficient money you carry to go to school.
Yes.
And now they'll come and ask for money from me, whereas when they ate their oranges. So being an entrepreneur has always been something at the back of my mind. And by the way, my father was a gambler. My father played dice.
I think I've heard that story before that actually, I think I heard that story from your sister.
Yeah.
Right? Back at school when she was my teacher that your dad used to play dice. Yeah.
My mother played Ep5 in China.
Yeah.
That's how she augmented her salary, to give us everything that we needed, not what we wanted. So I look back and I think, people will always say, why would you even talk about that? That's my history. That's where I come from. That's what made me what I am. And when my father gambled as Adlala Madaisi, he actually brought that money home. He would come and put the money on the floor and say to my mother, Maskumbos, which is my elder sister, "Kia tjhelete ya bana for the whole day, for the whole month, or for the whole week." So we knew when Dad came home, saying everything would be pashash. If it lost, it was doomsday.
Sure.
We'll all be bitten. Because he would be so angry that he didn't do his chores as a man. He
Yes.
didn't fend for his children.
For his children. And Matthijs was not his job. It's just a thing he did on the side, right?
Saturday and Sunday.
Saturday and Sunday. He was a teacher.
No, my
what
dad
is
was a driver
Oh, he was a driver.
of a company, and my mom was a domestic worker. Yeah.
Okay, mine too. My mom was a domestic worker too. But for me, that makes a lot of sense, right? With you and your journey as an entrepreneur. Because you're quite the entrepreneur. And you don't speak enough about this, right? I made a list of this. And these are just some of the stuff that I had found where Chaka Chaka Promotions. And some of these businesses, I realize that they're not there anymore, and we can get into that. But I don't think people realize how many businesses you've started, right, in the past 40 years, that you've had Chaka Chaka Promotions, and there's Chaka Chaka Music,
Which still exists.
Princess of Africa Foundation, which is, a big part of your legacy. You've got a homeware line that is available at Woolies, right? There's the hair care products. At some point, you had a limousine service that also transported Michael Jackson when he was in South Africa.
Absolutely.
I mean, how cool is that, right? And then you have lots of other businesses that you invest in, right? And board memberships in IT, human resource development, and Sundown Motors. That for me makes a lot of sense, right? And what you've just told me right now about your parents and looking at this list, that you never boxed yourself into one space, but it's because your parents did not live in a box as well.
I think, when you are a child living in Soweto and never given an opportunity, when you find one, you want to make use of it.
Yeah.
100%. So we had big businesses in Soweto, Ntate Maponya,
Yes.
Bobab Shabalala.
Yes. I grew up around those businesses as well.
Around those areas. And those are the people who gave us hope to say, Black child, it can be done. So those were our role models. We looked up to Ntate Maponya, Ntate Chabalala, Ntate Mutsunyana,
Yes.
And we said, if these guys can do it, despite the fact that they are not allowed to have any businesses in town, or in affluent white areas, but they're servicing us here in the townships, why can't we do it and support them? Now I look back and I look at the township economy. It's booming, but who owns it? It's not our people. And you ask yourself, why is that? We respected our shopkeepers because they sold good food to us. I mean, you would go at the shop in the morning. The bread would be nice and hot. Does that happen now? Our people have been turned to absolutely nothing. They're being sold expired food. And you can see that there's absolutely no respect in that. And is that the freedom that we say we have. So these are the things really that makes me very upset when I look back to say, during apartheid, things were so difficult, but we were there for one another. Money circulated around us because it was very difficult to go to town anyway because you don't have a permit.
Yes.
You know, you'll get arrested. Our forefathers and fathers had to have dom passes to go to town. So you got inspired by your community and the people around you when you grew up because we loved each other, we looked out for each other, we respected one another, and we wanted to be better people at the end of it all.
Yeah. You've been smart for a long time, which brings me to like my next question. So you get this record deal, right, in 1985. And then you do something what I regard as revolutionary. Because at age 29, this is 1993. This is pre-democracy. You're a black girl. You're in an industry that wasn't necessarily designed for a black woman to succeed. And you decide that I am going to own my music and I'm going to start my record label. What inspired that decision and just what sort of challenges did you face having to do that and having to pioneer that in that space?
Music was not something that I aspired to do. My mom wanted me to study law. I wanted to be a chartered accountant. But I always said to my mom, it was just wishful thinking. You had no money. Your husband died and left you with nothing. Our father didn't have a will when he died. We didn't even get the money. And if that company still exists, or anyone from a company called Heritage, please can I have my father's, what do you call?
The Provident Fund.
Provident Fund.
Yeah.
It's there.
Yes,
Maybe it's millions. The company was called Heritage. They made uniforms. So we were young. Mom was a domestic worker. We didn't know our rights, So we got absolutely nothing. But when I found myself at Defon Records recording, from the age, it was like 19, going to be 20 in 1985. And I'm in love with the DJ, sold 35,000 copies within 2 weeks of being released. And Phil Hollis was very excited. This is the guy who found me. And I was not 21 yet, so I couldn't even sign my contract.
Oh, wow.
My mother had to sign the contract. And it was very difficult because it was during apartheid years. My mother just thought, there goes my child. Because the creative industry was not respected the way it is now. She thought she's going to end up in Hillbrow. She's going to end up being a Hamors, because that's how this industry was perceived to be at the time. And nobody thought there was any longevity there in the music industry. We heard about people like Mary Makeba, Hugh Masekela, like Letambulu, but they were not in South Africa. They were in exile,
yes,
and those were big stars. But obviously, I was never going to compare myself with them because, I didn't even think I would meet them in my lifetime. So we looked up to those people, but we didn't think there was longevity and one could take this as a job. So when I started selling records and seeing money coming in, I was scared to go back to my old life. I thought, if money comes in, how am I going to sustain this life? Because now the tide had turned, from being a domestic worker's daughter, not having, now I'm having a little bit. But how long is that going to last? So every cent that I had to invest because I wasn't sure if in 1987 I'll still exist. In 1989, I'll be there as well. So I wanted something to hold on to. And the only thing was when I get my royalty, I needed to invest it or get some business that will keep me going.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Was there any pushback, around that? Did you have to fight for that with the royalties and the ownership of your music?
Well, I decided in 1989, I was found by Phil Hollis in 1985. And in 1989, I thought, okay, maybe I can open Chaka Chaka Promotions and run my stuff. Obviously, you don't work alone. You don't work in silos.
Yes.
There were other people that I was working with. At that time, I was working with Thandi Brewer, may her soul rest in peace. We thought, okay, we need to be able to own what was ours. It wasn't easy. It wasn't very easy because there's still so many things that I still did not understand in business.
Yes.
I was happy just being a musician. But on the other hand, I said, even if you are a musician, you need to know and take care of your life and your business. So that people should not pull wool over your face. So I made sure that if I didn't understand any clause in a contract, I get somebody to read it for me and interpret it so that I can understand, so that I can blame myself. Sometimes we take things for granted. You get given a contract, you don't even read it. You think somebody's going to read it for you. They'll read the lines that they want you to hear and leave other clauses. And so I've always been very, not suspicious as such, but I wanted to say if I didn't do anything to the best of my ability, I'm the one to blame. But if I really tried, if things are taking another turn, I would say I really tried. I didn't just sit there and do nothing. So it wasn't very easy, but I thought it needed to be done. And I embarked on that. Yeah.
It seems to me, when I was just looking back, that you never really got lost in the celebrity of it. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't seem like you lived in the industry. Like, yes, you love the industry, you did the work, but you never really got lost in the celebrity of it and just...
I don't know what a celebrity is. For me, it was just work. I could have been that chartered accountant.
Yes.
I could have been that lawyer. I could have been any business person. Yeah. It doesn't make me any different. For the fact that I'm in the creative industry and people recognize me easy when I'm in the street or whatever, that doesn't make me any different. I have to pay my tax. I have to pay my VAT. I have to, make sure that the returns are done. I have to make sure that CIPC is properly done as well. So these are the things that sometimes we tend to forget, and we ask or expect other people to do things for us, and at the end of the day, we blame them. You hear so many artists saying, my manager robbed me, my record company is robbing me. And yes, sometimes those things do happen, because if you don't ask questions, somebody will take you for a ride. But it's important that you surround yourself with people who've got your best interests at heart, and they will guide you and help you. And if you are ready to accept that there are those who know better than you, and they will impart their knowledge, and you are ready to suck it in and say, I'm happy to learn. So for me, it's not all about being a celebrity. I mean, what do I deserve to be celebrated?
Well, a lot. Oh, a lot.
So you say.
You being humble about it, and that's great, but come on. There's a lot.
I don't know. For me, it's you're being given a platform. Do it with love, without expectations, and with respect.
Yeah.
Along the way, you make mistakes, but clean yourself up, pick yourself up, and move ahead. I think sometimes, when you start recording, or whether you're an actress or an actor or a musician, you work so hard for people to recognize you and be there and do things. And once the world opens their arms to you, expect you to do things, you start putting these big sunglasses, black ones, so that people should be seen and should be recognized.
That's true.
You have bodyguards and things like that. I find it very peculiar. And it's like, when people love you, they will never hurt you. So you don't need that whole show off. You don't need that, all those things. Yes, when you're on stage or whatever, the people who are there, it's just for control, really, not for anything else. So I always say, God guards me because he's brought me here.
One of the things for me that I'm, taking and receiving, from what you're saying, and I hope that this message, does come across, especially to people who are artists, even though, this podcast is not specifically for artists, but I'm realizing that you were showing up for yourself, right? But you were showing up for yourself in ways that doing the things that are not enjoyable to do. But that's how sometimes we have to show up for ourselves. So you went and you said, what's going on with my taxes? We know that there is a major tax issue when it comes to artists in South Africa, where a person at the peak of their fame, they were driving this car and driving that car. And then 5 years later, they are complaining and saying, SARS wants to take my car and they want to take my house. Where it's like, we've never heard that about you, that SARS wants to take your car and wants to take your house. But I think that's what the lesson is here. Right? That how come we've never heard that Mama Yvonne, SARS is after you, right? But the reason why that has not happened is because you have shown up for yourself for things that are unpopular and not fun to do. And you said, I'm going to read the contract. I'm going to figure out what you do behind the scenes as a manager. I need to understand what happens with CIPC with my returns. I need to understand with sales, with my returns. What happens on stage and what happens in the public is one thing, and that's enjoyable and that's fun, but it is not all of it. That for me is what I'm really taken, from what you've said.
Well, it's never easy. It's just never easy. But I think, as I said, mistakes are done everywhere. But who are you going to blame?
Yeah.
You've got yourself to blame.
Yeah.
If you don't show up for yourself.
Yes.
You can't expect anybody to show up for you.
Yes.
If you are not prepared to show up for yourself. So it's important that one knows. I know we always complain about SARS.
Yes,
we all do.
Yeah.
But we need to do our bit as well. Nobody has to evade tax. We need to pay what is rightfully payable.
Yes.
And that's being compliant at the end of the day. We all have our problems and mistakes. And, sometimes you rely on your accountant or your bookkeeper or things like that. And sometimes things slip,
Yes.
out of the way. But for me, it's trying very hard not to live beyond your means, and say, this is what I have. And I am happy with what I have. I'm not going to hang myself now and ask for a 10 million rents loan from the bank. How am I going to pay that money, back? So it's being content with what I have and say, I'm not an Oprah, I'm not a Milsepe, I'm not a Brenda, I'm not a Mary Makeba, I'm Yvonne, and I know where my space is. Yeah.
I mean, I see when you were telling me the bags of oranges story, like it all just connected as to why things turned out the way that they did, for you. Because it seems like you've always been ready to take responsibility, right? The fact that you had this bag of oranges that you could have eaten, and there's nothing wrong with that, but you would think, what is my responsibility with this bag of oranges, right? Even though that was not the exact concept in your head, but it was that, what is my responsibility with this bag of oranges? What do I need? And then you take that, you sell that. And I feel that that's exactly how you approached your music career. It was, you had this bag of oranges, and how do I use it to sustain myself?
Life is never what you wish it to be.
Yeah.
You make life to be the way you want it by accepting your vulnerabilities, accepting where you don't know, and accepting the situation at hand. So I was then given this platform, and I thought, how am I going to benefit from this and benefit those that give me the platform? So I guess my philanthropy work started then as well, because I thought, I'm being given a platform. How do I give back? So I went to the school where I completed my matric.
Yes.
And I paid for fees for the children.
Oh, wow.
Bought them matric dance clothes and just went there and motivated them to say, you can have everything, but if you don't have education as well, it will be a bit cumbersome.
Yes,
as
it's
well.
difficult, yeah.
Because sometimes you see things happening now, and you think, okay, I'm just going to forget about education and continue with that. Other people are lucky enough to make it very big without even having a diploma or a degree or a certificate. But others have to work very, very hard. And some with, how many graduates do we have roaming around the streets? Others have degrees, post-grad, and other people have PhDs and they're not finding work. So it's how you navigate through to make things happen for you. And I think in South Africa, we've become that nation that has to be people who find work and not sit there and wait for somebody to hire you. Absolutely. But how do we do that when the playing field is not leveled? That becomes another problem. So I urge the powers that be, policymakers, governments and everybody, to make sure that the playing field is leveled and the environment is conducive for our people to be able to fend for themselves and compete with the best and the rest of the world.
So now you've got your music career is thriving. It could have really just stayed like that because your music career is amazing and you had really done a great job in building your music career as a business. But you've obviously decided to branch out and do, other things. There's the homeware line that comes. At some point, you used to own hair salons, right? Yes. At some point, you used to own hair salons. I did say she's quite an entrepreneur, guys. There's so many businesses that this woman has started. Like, it's incredible. So how do you decide what business venture, to go for?
Well, obviously, music was, I didn't even think it was a business when I started. I thought, okay, there, I'm in love with the DJ. I'm burning up. My heart's on fire. I'm burning up. and when things getting better, and I could see that, it looks like this could be a career that can last me for a long time. I thought, okay, let me open Chaka Chaka Promotions and then Chaka Chaka Music. And my hair business was my very first proper business.
The hair salons?
Yes.
Yeah.
I had 2 hairdressing salons. In fact, one was owned by my husband and his partner. So we bought Jackie out at the Carlton Link. And then I opened the second one called Vonnie's Seventh Heaven. And at the time, I wanted women who were going to board meetings to come and have their makeups there, their nails, and make an appointment. And they paid slightly more. So we started that, and there would be a door on the other side because then you make an appointment. So I'm coming at 11 o'clock instead of just coming in and sitting there and wait for your hair to be done. So that was my very first business. And things were just happening around town. Unfortunately, we had to shut down. By 93, 94, my husband had bought 2 of those big American cars. And one of our friends says, why don't you just start a transport business? And I thought, why would we even do that?
Yeah.
But fortunately, we did. We had our first contract with Sun City, where we transported Summer Ranch. These were for the Olympics. And Michael Jackson became our client, and Shaka Khan.
Oh, wow.
That's why we were still very good friends with Shaka Khan. Yes. So it was just finding the opportunity and the window at that time. And you then started a business. And remember, there was no BEE then.
Yes.
You had to go to the bank and get an overdraft. Sure. To do that, or put your house as collateral. So things were not very, very easy. Yes. And obviously, when BEE started, it favored those who had connections.
Yes.
And I'm very happy for people who really made it, from that. But that's how I started my business career. Wow. From the music, because I didn't think there was going to be a long life in the industry. So I had to make sure that the money that I get from my music works for me as well. And it sustains me. That's how I did it.
Wow.
Yeah.
And it wasn't all easy for you.
No.
Right? Of course it wasn't. The thing is that as well with business, some of your ventures, have lived through time. Some of them, did not survive. I just want to know that if you can share with us, what were some of like your biggest failures and what were some of the lessons that you learned from those failures?
Well, the limousine business really cost us lots of money.
Yeah.
It was thriving somewhere, but I think we were ahead of our time because this is 93, 94. People don't know if South Africa is coming or going. But I just said to myself, I've got one passport. I'm a South African and I'm going nowhere. I'm staying here. My roots are here in South Africa and I want to make it happen. So really the business costs us lots of money. And I think we're just ahead of our times to want to make South Africa a tourist attractive place, because now this is just after our forefathers and fathers have been released from jail. Now people don't know whether we're coming or going. But I said to myself, this is the tourist attractive place. Everybody must come to South Africa, but other people didn't think so. And so the business didn't last very long. I think we had the limo business for about 5-6 years, which cost us lots of money, and we had to dump it, obviously. Chaka Chaka Promotions has been there since then. That's the company that I use to do all my business. Chaka Chaka Music, it's very, very difficult to record artists. Some don't show up. You pay lots of money, for putting up a CD for an artist. And just to do the promotion is not very easy, And then I thought, okay, now the best way to invest money is to invest in different companies. Buying shares, the MTN shares, Vodacom shares, Putuma Nati, and investing with other people as part of a broad-based BEE with Sendal Motors. I'm very grateful to a great man, Lawton Ndlovu, who was our chairperson, and Sipho Majombozi, because then those are the big businesses that I ventured into. In 95, we started a company called Women in Energy with some of my friends. And I'm grateful to those who wanted Black women to thrive as well in business. And we were given a chance. I remember going to, there was a business meeting and 2 ladies walked in and they found me sitting there. And obviously, me being Yvonne, a musician, they came in and they looked twice and they thought they were in a wrong meeting.
Yeah.
And they left. And they came back, and a group of us were all sitting there with the 2 ministers, and they were shocked because they'd left thinking they were in a wrong meeting because they saw me.
An artist.
Yeah. So it's how people box you as well. And it's how people sometimes think of you that, oh no, she's a musician. She's probably not allowed, or she can't be a business person. It's when people think they know you, and when people think this is good for you and this is not good for you. So people really would put you in a box, and if you allow that, you will end up, feeling sorry for yourself. And by the time we finished the meeting, because there were a couple of questions that I was asking about governance and compliance and everything, they tried to be nice to me, and I showed them my true colors.
Like, I'm over you.
I was just like over them. I didn't even want to even talk to them because they were trying to patronize me. Yeah.
Wow. Sure. So why education? Right? So you went back to school. This is like X amount of years, later. You've got all of this business experience. My goodness, like I feel like you could open your business school, your own one, right? Because you've got, the experience, right? Through the businesses that you've started, You have thrived, you have failed, you have learned. And at some point you go, I'm going to go back to school and do my postgrad in business.
You know, education has always been very important to me.
Yeah.
When I started singing, I just completed my matric. And obviously, I didn't go to a traditional university like a ZITS and be a school child.
Yes.
Now I'm starting to work. I'm a mother. I'm married. And what do I do? Do I just concentrate on my music, or do I make myself better? You know, I'm just so grateful to Fiona Fraser, because she just saw something in me and encouraged me. Because I think it also at the back of my mind was that, okay, now I'm having all these shows, I'm performing every day, you know, from I'm in love with the DJ to Thank You, Mr. DJ, I'm burning up, Umkomboti Motherland. All those songs were just coming in. And I could have said to myself, I have no reason to even want to start.
Go to school, exactly.
So I must say, I went to UNISA, I registered. I actually went to 3 universities same time. I went to UNISA, I went to Vista.
Oh, wow. Vista, for those
Vista.
people who don't know, it is currently now the Soweto UJ campus.
Is it?
Yes, it's changed to UJ now. But when I was growing up, because I've got aunts who went to Vista, University, and they started teaching there. It used to be a big teaching
So I
college.
went to Vista, I went to UNISA, and I went to WITS to go and register to study law. I failed History 1.
Wow.
I failed Mercantile Law. I failed Afrikaans 3 times.
Wow.
Because articles were written in Afrikaans at that time. And I said to my mother, it's not working. I only passed English. I failed Mercantile Law. I failed History 1. I failed Afrikaans at WITS, at Vista, even at UNISA. And I said to my mother, it's not working. But my mother has always insisted that no one would do things for you if you don't understand who you are and where you're going to. So she may have been a domestic worker, but her stance in being empowered and being educated as a woman were amazing. For a woman who was a domestic worker and not well educated, you know, when you're young, you always think, oh, when I finish high school, I'll probably get married, have my husband buy me everything. My mother said, marriage is not the ultimate, my kids.
Yeah.
And why should this man buy you things? Why wouldn't you do things for yourself? And we used to think she's horrible for saying such things, you know. And my mother said, you have to depend on yourself, and you have to have you know, you must be capable of doing things yourself and on your own. And I look back and I think this woman was very smart. I think she was ahead of her time, because as a matter of fact, I don't expect anything from anybody. Even now, if I'm not going to be there for myself, do it for myself, I don't expect manna from heaven. So even when I then did my speech and drama, it wasn't very easy. Now I'm starting to sing. Now Fiona Fraser says to me, enroll with Trinity College of London and do music, speech and drama, and public speaking. And I thought, this is just too much. I'm not going, my hands don't work. I failed my grade 6 in music and I dumped it. And I continued with my LT, my licentiate.
Yeah.
And for my speech and drama, then I had my diploma in speech and drama and public speaking. And thanks to Fiona Fraser for unleashing that potential in me.
Yeah.
She was my elocutions teacher.
Yes.
And once I had that, I thought, I think it's very nice to learn. It's not easy, because now I had to write assignments. I had to go to the shows. I had to come back, write assignments.
Life doesn't stop and say you're going to school now.
Life doesn't stop. Exactly. But you say to yourself, easy come, easy go. Yeah. Sometimes you have to do things that are not popular and things that are not easy to get where you want to. So for me, I've always said, I'm never going to get things because I'm Yvonne. I have to work very hard for everything. Even when I went back to UNISA to try and do law and failed again, thanks to Professor Veronica Mackay, I then decided, because my mother wants me to have this degree,
Yes.
she's not convinced that music is work.
Yes.
And I had to do it for her as well. So I registered for my adult education. So I'm an adult practitioner as well. So I did my adult education through UNISA. We're the first group to do ABIT, what was called ABIT,
Yes.
Adult Basic Education.
Yes.
So I was very, very scared. I didn't want to take a 3-year course. So I thought, okay, I'll take a certificate. But Professor Veronica Mackay insisted and gave me that push. You know, when you go to university and you have people who've got your best interest at heart.
Yeah.
I remember there were assignments that I failed. So UNISA didn't care whether you're Yvonne Chaka Chaka
Of
or
course.
Sibongile Khumalo. You have to
A
submit.
student is a
Exactly.
student, yeah.
And once one realizes that you don't get things easy, you put everything in it.
Yeah.
And then I did my 2-year diploma, and then I was credited into a degree. And I did business management as well through UNISA, local government management and administration through UNISA. And I thought, okay, now I've got a degree. I don't need to do anything
Anymore. Yeah.
But fast forward, I thought there's a lot that I still have to do. I then did all this work as a UNICEF Goodwill Ambassador and working with Rollback Malaria, working with the Global Fund.
Yes.
And I thought, I think I need to do public health so that I can understand better when I get invited to come and speak about malaria, TB, and AIDS.
Yes.
And I enrolled with Johns Hopkins. I never submitted one assignment.
Yeah.
And I guess I was feeling very guilty. That's when I went to Henley to do my PG dip.
Yeah.
We had amazing lecturers from Jayesh, Melanie and Zandre. I mean, all our lecturers at Henley were just amazing. They understood that we were parents, we're old people. Yes. Academic writing is not very easy, guys.
No fun for the
research is just not. But I must say that the cohort of 2022, April 2022, was the best at Henley.
Yeah.
And thank you, Henley, for giving me this choice. I'm coming for my MBA.
Coming for an MBA. So speaking of Henley, because now you're doing the PG dip, and this is more of like a business post-grad, how did that impact business now, the way that you approach business? And of course, you're a seasoned entrepreneur, right? So, so how did that change?
Well, you see, I'd done the certificate at UNISA, the business management certificate.
Yeah.
But going to do my post-grad at Henley, it was just very, very different, I must say. Because there are things that you take for granted as a business person. And there are things that have to be done by the book, and doing your systems thinking to start with, So it was very interesting for me to do that course with Henley. It opened my eyes and made me think sometimes we just take things for granted, but the importance of doing things in a correct, systematic manner was imperative. And I'm just so grateful that Henley gave me that chance to be able to do that.
Yeah. Wow, that's incredible. My experience, with Henley, for me coming from, a world of being, an artist.
Creative industry.
Creative industry, you're an artist. And our industry is very, I don't know, it's like a box and a pigeonhole.
Absolutely.
Right, to a certain extent. I remember being in class, and I think I was one of 2 artists in class, right? There's
no business people.
No, it's like, business people who like work in HR, and some of the things they talk about, I would just like sit there and be like, I need to Google what this person has just said. because I don't know what that
Don't
means.
understand.
I don't understand what this means. I don't understand. But it really just opened up my world, hey? It opened up my world. I found myself doing things that, and even in other industries that I never thought were available, to me. That for me was the gift of business school. When I walked into Henley, I was an employee. I say this all the time. Like, I walked in there as an employee and I walked out of there an entrepreneur.
I love that.
Really.
I really
That's
love
what
that.
my experience was.
I must say there are lots of business schools, but I think the approach that Henley has taken, it's totally different.
Yeah.
I mean, when we did those electives,
Yes.
I was very upset because there were about, I think, 5 topics or things like women empowerment, reimagining South Africa and all. And then there was AI.
Yeah.
And everybody had chosen.
Yeah.
And me, Adri, and Puseleso and Kuku and Daniel, there was a guy who worked for MultiChoice who understood AI, said, no, don't worry, I'll help you. And after a month, he left. And now we were left alone to do this thing on our own. But I think for me, that was the best thing that could have happened to all of us, because we were scared of artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
We did not even understand it. But the way Jayesh took us step by step, and the work that we had to do on our own, from machine learning, how did artificial intelligence come about, and just understanding everything, it was, for me, the best thing that we could have done. So I say it with pride that I am an AI specialist.
Especially,
Yeah,
of course.
And even my kids now know. I tell them, it's important that we embrace AI because it's here to stay. Everything it's technical. It's going that way. So it is here to stay. I know people are frightened that our jobs are going to be taken, but machines will always be the machines. And who operates these machines? So humanities will always be there. But obviously, if it's 100 boxes to be picked up and be packed up there, a machine or a robot will do that much easier and much faster. So these are the things that we have to conscientize our people about when it comes to AI. Obviously, it needs to be done in a correct manner as well. And so, yeah, I'm just happy that Henley gave me a chance to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the things that I just really love, absolutely love about you is how you just don't stop learning. Like, it's incredible to just sit here and listen to you embrace AI, be so excited about it, the spark in your eye. I'm like it's just marvelous, right? You're so amazing. I'm so happy that you love learning and you're always challenging yourself to try new things.
I think sometimes we get stuck in what we think we know.
Yeah.
And forgetting that there are those who know better than us.
Yeah.
And I think if you are open-minded, you accept your vulnerability and say, I am ready to be teachable.
Yes.
So when I went to Henley, I was not even sure that I wanted to be in class. But I had to do it for my own selfish reasons, to make myself a better person.
Yes.
And I loved every step that every lecturer had taken us through to be where we are today.
Sure. I'm so inspired by you in lots of different things, but especially this, right? You are turning 60, right?
Yes.
And here you are sitting here going, guys, AI. Let me tell you, AI inspiration, we don't expect that to hear that from a woman who is about to turn 60, because we look at AI and think, oh my goodness, this thing in the future, it's about to change the future. But I'm thinking in my 60s, I probably would be going, I don't even know if I need to worry about this so much because I've made my money, I am fine. So whatever happens, happens. But here you are just going, hey, I'm challenging myself. I'm learning about this thing. I'm, getting my fingers into it. So it's amazing. I'm very inspired by this.
Thank you.
And I'm going to keep challenging myself, to keep
Learning. You're an MBA student, man.
Yes,
Well, you've
absolutely.
done that.
Yes, absolutely. But just to even learn more about the new things, not just with the degree and, whether it's going for my PhD, even just with micro things like a little course here. Because sometimes when we think learning, you're thinking, oh my goodness, it's another degree that I have to get. It doesn't always have to be something big.
Absolutely.
You could always just take a micro course, learn a skill. Just keep challenging yourself and never put an expiry date and say, I'm too old.
Absolutely.
I can't do, this part or that part anymore.
You've said it. You've said it all. You've taken words out of my mouth. I'm one person who says I always like to challenge myself. And when I start something, I do it without hesitating. I lost a couple of friends, between 2022 and 23 when I was doing my PG tip.
Yeah.
Because some friends would come and visit and I'm like, I have to study. Because I didn't expect Henley to just give me the degree. I had to work very hard for it.
Yes.
And where I didn't understand, I would call my lecturers. I'll call Dr. Melanie and say, I don't understand where I should start with this assignment. Yes. And obviously, they will help me to say, this is how you have to do it. Mm-hmm. So it's important that you say to yourself, I will go an extra mile to make myself better. I will go and ask those who know better than me to help me because I want to put in a lot of effort in it as well. So my kids were laughing at me I was saying to them, you only have degrees. Me, I've got an honors. Yes. Now, I'm challenging them to go and study even
keep
further.
Up, kids, keep up.
They have to keep up.
Yeah.
So, and what was nice was that my husband never pushed me to do any of those things. Yeah. All he did was just to support me, sleeping at 2 a.m., 3 a.m., doing research, writing, checking that assignment, if it was properly done, the first weeks of doing Turnitin was a mission for me.
Yeah.
It was a mission. Yes. And if it came back and it says 25%, you have to start all over again.
Yeah.
But I challenged myself to do all this, and I can look back and say, it was a chance that I was given to improve myself and to make myself a better person. And I'm grateful for that. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Sure. Last one now. So you're the seasoned entrepreneur. You are a legend. You truly are. Right? There's so many people out there that we call legend, that they call themselves legend, but you are truly, really, global icon, legend, So what do you envision your legacy to be? Specifically with business.
Business is a tricky part of it all. I look at when I started singing and I say to myself, in 2024 or 2025, I'm still able to go and perform. I just performed for a packed hall in Ghana on the 31st of December.
Yeah.
And come the 22nd of February, I'll be performing in Botswana. So music, for me, it's that part of the most important business for me. Uh-huh. From there, I was able to make other businesses from my music. So I that's why when I do all my philanthropic work, I go back to the community because it was the community that gave me the platform to be able to do everything that I do. About legacies, I'm not the person who thinks about a legacy at all. I am for now. I'm from the living now.
Present.
I'm for the present.
Uh-huh.
I want to do things now. I want to appreciate everything that I do now, and I want to see the impact now. So it doesn't matter what business I do. I know for my homeware, which is at Woolies, thanks to Gerard, ITTC, who partnered with me, to do this. I've got lots of people from Ghana and the DRC who want to take the product to those countries. And for me is to when you start making little money, obviously pay your taxes and do all sorts of things, and have a purpose for it. You know, for my hair products, thanks to Amka, that I've just partnered with as well, with my business partner, Fazana. We're working with young women there, and one male, Dumiso, amazing. You know, he does all the products and everything. And Amka is a company that is very well known in this industry. But I've said to them, I want us to take these products to the townships, because if you go to Soweto or Alexander, or there's a salon. In one street, there will be a salon. So how do we empower those young people? So we'll be taking these products, give them to these young people, and they can make money from that as well. And the people that I work with are great technicians. So they will teach them how to use the products and how to make money at the end of the day. So even us as small entrepreneurs, we try to close the gap somewhere, because that's what I called shared values. You know, when you make it, you need to extend that to the larger community as well.
Thank you so much for the wisdom, for everything that you have shared, for just, like opening your heart and sharing so freely. Grateful for the time, and all the best in everything that you're doing.
Well, thank you for having me. And people don't know, but I'm sure people do know that you are one of the best producers. And
guys, did you hear that?
Yeah, one of the best producers. And obviously you are my daughter's age, so I'm your mother.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Yes.
Well, I think we need to really give credit. You see, what I like about Henley, when they impart this knowledge to you, they actually don't make you feel as if you owe them or you have to speak about them. But it's the good that they do. And when you come out of that grilling pan, you can stand proud and say, yes, I am the best in Africa. When it comes to business, I mean, they can stand tall and say they are the best in Africa when it comes to a business school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Thank you.
Thank you very much for having me.
Okay.